Hi, how you guys doing? I know we're still waiting on some people. This is what adult learning looks like. You know, you don't get demerit for coming in minutes afterwards. But I also got some information for some people saying that they'll be logging in a little late. We're also waiting on Brother Angelo McBride, but we're not going to hold you guys because you was nice enough to be here with me for a little while after the fact, beforehand. So on Tuesday. However, we are going to stay on to answer any questions you might have for extra 15 minutes. So you can leave when the class is over unless you have technical questions or you just need to ask some questions about something after the fact. We're going to be staying on so that you can do that. So just know that that option is available to you. And please feel free to take advantage of it because we know sometimes you might, some of us are introverts. Some of us don't want to talk in front of a bunch of people. And we're going to try to fix that before the class is over, but we're going to be mindful of that and try to ease everybody into it. But I do want to you have Jana Matthews here who wasn't here last week. So Jana, I would like for you to introduce yourself to everyone and also tell everybody about the business that you're starting or have already started.
Okay, hi everyone. As Jay said, I'm Jana Matthews. I am still working full time, but I have the side hustle of natural styling. And my aspirations are to begin my own change agency. That is the market I'm in professionally. So I do change management for the government, and I'm hoping to bring change management principles to developing young people before they go to like college, and that way we can connect our resources and really empower the next generation before they get bogged down with all the adulting they will have to do.
No adulting. So y'all know how we did last week. What do we say to Jana?
Hi, Jana.
Like the AA meeting.
Yes, yes. I'm not gonna say like what, but you guys, you already know. But we're gonna make this is a family affair. So one thing I want to ask you guys, and anybody can speak, what with the information you got on Tuesday, what did you think about differently with your business going into today? Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Well, I don't like to write, and anything that usually where I have to write something or I can't speak it, and I usually just won't even mess with it, and
All right, cool.
so I don't know, man. I woke up like 1 o'clock in the morning and I started messing with this stuff, and I don't know, maybe I was just in the right frame of mind or the right space, and I was just like, man, you know what? I gotta stop messing around and like get serious about what I'm doing. I have all the vision. I have all the pieces. I just need to stop playing around, and I'm not going to be able to get around writing. I'm going to have to write.
I love it. I love it. That's already progress. It's only been 2 days. That's already progress. So did you get a chance to write something?
Yeah, I went through and did the whole thing that we were supposed to do.
Love it. Love it. Congratulations. Congratulations. Anybody else do something towards their business after Tuesday? Something different.
Yeah, I did. Sort of like Sean, I think I was more irritated than anything because I realized that I put a lot of other things before my business and really kind of developing it and putting things together. So just sitting down and just reevaluating, my mission, my vision statement, all that kind of stuff, and really just, talking to my co-founder and like, look, we got to get on the ball. He and I are both professionals and we have a full-time job with lots of responsibilities, but it's still incumbent upon us to make sure that we're refining and polishing the things that we need to do each and every day. So yeah, it kind of lit a fire under me a little bit.
I love it. I love it. So did anybody's personal vision statement change after Tuesday? If you already had one or you thought you had one, did it change or did you make any changes to it?
A little bit.
It extended out further. It became, I don't know, after watching those videos and just actually thinking about the process and everything it was asking you, it made me start thinking about the last business that I started and where and why I probably failed with that, and you know, not planning it out, not doing anything, just like going full bore in it. And you know, you're talking about, you buy all the gear, you know, you got all the gear, but you don't know how to use it. You know what I mean? Instead of learning, buying one piece of equipment and learning how to use it and mastering that piece of equipment, I gotta have, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And nothing ever gets learned because there's too many shiny objects around.
I understand that makes sense. Anybody else?
Hey, this is Robert. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, with me, I can't really say nothing. It changed from before. I just realized that kind of what Sean was saying is that, you know, I got to take things seriously. I've been doing stuff, but I've been doing stuff without really a focus. And so I realized now I need to, you know, step back and try to set some goals and then start moving forward from there.
Yeah. So does anybody have a new idea since then? Somebody probably came in and you thought you were going one way, but then after Tuesday, you developed a whole new idea, or you're looking at your idea with fresh eyes.
Well, I can say something. Yeah, so I've been kind of focusing on, you know, as a software developer, you know, trying to you know, work with other clients and stuff like that. But I've been realizing that, you know, a lot of people have been coming to me asking me, you know, to help them with coding, how to learn how to program and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that, you know, my focus now is going to be more so on teaching like young kids, high school students, teaching them how to code and things of that nature. And I don't necessarily always want to be sitting in front of a computer writing a new application, but if I can create my own products, my own videos, my own courses and sell those, I think that'll put me in a better position to where I can make residual income. So that's kind of where my focus is right now.
So you want to shift from doing the service portion to creating an actual product that you can sell.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Okay. Does anybody else want to add to that, or that have the same type of revelation with their business or idea? Y'all ain't do nothing in 2 days? What's going on? Ooh.
Now, I won't say I didn't do anything, but you asked for new revelations and any changes, of which there have been none. So I was able to work through. I think I have a very firm grasp on what I want to do, and it is kind of evolving, but that's kind of just been an ongoing process. I think I'm like 2.5 months in terms of the hardcore boots on the ground.
Yeah.
But some of the vision started years ago. So at this point, is really this framework to help me put it down and have all the focus and bring it all together. So some of the steps that seem overwhelming in your mind, when you're like, I got to do all this stuff, and man, it would be really awesome if I did this. But now it's a systematic way to really just step through the process and to document it, to look at it and refine it versus just all being up in the dome.
So on Tuesday, you mentioned that you were trying to figure out how to get another client base outside of the faith-based community. So between Tuesday and now, what happened as far as your train of thought with that? Did you do any research, or did you learn any other scenarios, or you put anything in place as far as trying to identify some of the people you're going to talk to go ahead and make that happen?
I would say I had a little bit of, I had some decent progress with that. I have 2 pending meetings with some team members to try to vet it out some more. But I had a revelation on yesterday, actually. And God gave me the vision for, it's another book. I've already had 2 book ideas, but it's a book that allows for me, my target audience, it sounds pretty broad, but it's very specific. My target audience is the forgotten. So it doesn't have a gender, that doesn't have socioeconomic status, because there are ways in which everybody's been forgotten or left out to a certain extent. And with financial education, I believe that there's a huge gap in information. You can testify to this yourself in your own personal journey, that there's some things where you're like, I know I need money, so on and so forth. But there are certain times when you had a blessing, and whether it was the amount of money you were making or an opportunity, and there were some holes in your knowledge, and you didn't make the most optimal decisions based upon your circumstance. Yeah. And so a large part of what I want to do is I want to reach the people who have been forgotten. And you may hear some information where somebody tells you, man, you should invest. You ain't never heard of a budget, right? You know how to get bills paid. And if you want to buy something, I might have to save for it to buy it, but that doesn't lead you to investing or whatever. So just the idea that there's some fundamental basic information that we assume people know or take for granted that is really crucial to financial education. And so I think that's going to be a large part of reaching people outside of the faith space, because it's really just something that we need. And I'm hoping that it can speak to, I'm sorry, I have a kid tearing up stuff. Hold on.
Right, you're fine. Now, this is going to be the universal clap for us here. I want everybody to clap for Catherine, because she got 2 meetings, and that's a big deal in business. So 2 meetings is a big deal. One of those can change the nature of your business, in a matter of an hour or 30 minutes, depending upon how long that meeting lasts. So that's not a small feat. And so having those 2 meetings and being able to have that type of testimony from Tuesday to Thursday is everything. And this is an important part. And if you need to finish, Catherine, you can go ahead and finish. I just wanted to touch base on that while you address the kids. But having 2 meetings is not a bad thing, man. If people can have 2 meetings a day, you're on your way to being a millionaire. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a big deal. So we want to give you your flowers now, with that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. And the rest of the squad. But the only thing I was going to add there is that I believe that it gives the opportunity to present information that I think will start at a kind of a teenager in terms of trying to catch them early, but then it can also run the gamut of your grandma, your godmama, your dad, yourself, of a wide array of people who may just have little holes missing in terms of their financial education. And it might change the game for them, and or just equip them with more information as they try to train up somebody else, that they make sure that person has more information.
I love it, love it, love it. We have Mr. Andrell Green. He wasn't here last week, so I want you, if you can get on, Andrell, show your face, say hi to everybody, introduce yourself when you get yourself settled. But I want someone else to be thinking about there. Right now we're on addressing your ideas, and we wanted to go ahead and assessing your ideas. I'm sorry, want to unpack a little bit of the ideas. This is how everybody learns, because somebody is struggling with what you're overcoming right now. And because you give your testimony or say why you were able to do what you needed to do and you were able to grow, somebody else might have the courage to go ahead and do some of the same steps that you did. So peer-to-peer learning is more important than any other type of learning that you're going to get here. Because everybody comes with their own wealth of knowledge, but at the end of the day, if you don't share it, no one else can get it. And if you don't listen, you won't hear what someone else is going through. A lot of people have some amazing careers. They're just trying to get into business. Some people on here don't have financial issues. They don't worry about their bills being paid. They just want more. for themselves, or some people want to be in a space where they can help other people. And it's important that you know that, because your client depends on that. Why? Because a lot of people we're shopping for people who don't want a service that we're trying to provide or a product that we're trying to sell. Why? Because we don't know them. We wasn't quiet enough to hear or understand who they are. Your next client might be on in this class right now, but you should be listening and hearing how can I serve, how can I help these people? And then you go from there. This is a warm sale, you guys. You're gonna be together for 10 weeks. So this is what we call a warm sale. You know, some cold sales is real, but this is a warm sale. You're gonna get to know, you see, Rashid has his daughter there, so before this is over, you're gonna know her name. And so you're gonna know a little bit more about somebody's job. And so before you know it, it's gonna be a warm sale. And this is a good way to start your business off. There's Andrell. What's going on, Andrell?
What's good, man? What's good? You caught me at a time looking rough, man, so I had to put my hat on. But just want to thank you for letting me be on today, man, and hello to everybody. Excited to learn some new stuff here. So I'm ready to learn.
Tell everybody what business you're in, and you know, one of the things you're looking forward to getting out of the class.
Right now, man, I'm actually I used to be in life insurance. I'm not in life insurance no more, but I trade foreign currency now. I'm a Forex trader. So I'm looking to take Forex trading to the point to where that is my main source of income and to leave my job. I'm also in ministry as well. So I would like to be a Forex trader and do ministry and Forex full time. But with Forex, I'm not really selling anything to anyone. Forex is mostly me studying charts, learning when to buy and when to sell. So that's basically the gist of what I do as a Forex trader. But to me, it's still equally hard as going to sell because like now I have to learn so much information. I have to back test. It's a lot of different stuff you have to do to be a Forex trader. And you got to know, also go through a lot of information to see what works for you. But I have also been in the business where I did because I heard you talking about sales, where I did sales and all that too. I do look at, once I'm successful, opening up a class to where I teach people how to trade and how to sell. How to trade. But for right now, I'm just trading, working my day job and preaching.
Love it, man. Glad you're here. Connect, get in the chat. As Singleton said, Singleton Newman, she's on this call. She's our social media expert, but she immediately put in the chat, hey, put your information so everybody can follow you and get everybody else's information so you can stay connected with the people here. You have people on this in this class with you from California to Texas to DC to Jersey. So you have a lot of people that you can connect with over the next 10 weeks, 9 weeks after this. And so it's a good opportunity to network. You can't get out and shake hands and kiss babies like we used to, so take advantage of this time. So go ahead and put up your information in the chat. So thank you everybody who was brave enough to talk about what assessing their ideas. I hope that all you got something out of the class that made you want to go and do something more, because that's what we want. This is adult learning, so it's not like, okay, when you come back with the homework, we're going to smack you in the hand. This is for us to talk about and see what you've done, but we do want you to do something every week after every class, and we're going to find out, what are you doing? More importantly, let everybody know how we can help, because we talked about the good stuff, but what was the bad? What are some of the bad things? Who did absolutely nothing? Who got more confused? Like, who's willing to say that? This is how you get help. Nobody got confused?
I wasn't confused, but it was one of the things I discovered, which was I was laughing a little bit, is when it was asking you like, what was the initial plan to get started? Like, are you going to go solo? Are you going to get yourself some partners, X, Y, Z? For me, That was pretty much how my path got started. It started with one partner, and then I took the idea to two more people. So initially it was four of us that started. One of our brothers had to walk away for his own personal reasons, for his own personal growth. So now, 4 years later, it's still me and my partner, two of my partners. As of right now, we're holding each other down. This year was a wake-up call because for the first time out of the 4 years that we've been in business, this was the first time I could say that money was taken away from us in a way where we was a little frantic on how we was going to bounce back when the COVID came, because we had our contracts already signed off for a few weddings, a few personal jobs. Twice a year, I do commercial work with an organization from out of Nigeria. Maybe like every other year, I go to Nigeria. So all that got put on hold, and you talking about a financial squeeze. I'm not gonna lie, like I panicked because I'm like, holy moly, like interacting is the business. You know what I mean? Like face to face is my business. So now in a different mindset, when I tell you I was out here thinking, like I'm like, yo, somebody about to get a photo shoot through my tablet, and they're gonna like it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna figure this out. Like, if I gotta drop the equipment off at their house and tell them how to use it personally, like, yo, well, we was coming up with some wild things, bro. So I'm like, but nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? Like, God prevail. We're still in business. The door is still open. We're figuring it out. We had a couple of brave souls to keep the contracts in place and still try to do a little bit of something with us throughout the year. Most of what I had scheduled for this year, we all taking it to 2021 as of right now, hoping that the world is going to get better. But at the same time, we have to adapt like a chameleon. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit still and just go belly up. I refuse to do that. So right now, I'm going into a digital state of mind on, how can I prevail digitally? And so because of the space that we have here, I'm thinking more or less I'm going into the like renting out the space for the up and coming podcasters or podcasters that's home that might be looking for a space. So that's kind of where my advertisement is at now. And then since we spoke on Tuesday, what I've done is email like a few law firms in regards to seeing if like anybody need any corporate headshots in regards to like LinkedIn or any other professional websites where, like they're doing like, they're trying to get themselves hired for other companies. So at this point, just waiting to hear back, man. And then, I'm going to continue in this course, learn from you guys and some of the peers that's in here, and we'll figure this out, man.
All right, so I had to get Ben and Black up here because I don't write well. So, can you guys see what this says? Okay, it's too low because I think she writes too nice. But it says risk tolerance. If you look in your page, write it a little bit bigger. What you talked about, Rashik, is your risk tolerance. You have a different what you learned and what a lot of us learned in business during this year is what is your threshold for risk? What's your tolerance? You did this, you were comfortable for 4 years working, you expected things to be a certain kind of way, and then the thing that doesn't show up in your business plan, nobody puts a global pandemic in your business plan. It's probably because of the light, but don't worry about it. Nobody puts a global pandemic in your business plan of potential threats to your business. A lot of people don't put bad health. A lot of people don't put them messing up their own money. A lot of people don't put a lot of these things in your within the risk tolerance, because we always put down on the paper the perfect stuff. We always put down it's going to go this. Okay, I got 2 contracts this year. Next year I'll have 4. And year after that I'll have 6. So I have 8. And especially when we go to the bank to want some money from them, those things quantify. You know, you start getting the multiplication. It's no more. I'm going to have 12 contracts this year, and I'm going to have 36 the next year, so that they can give you that money to go ahead and do it. But nobody puts, what is your risk tolerance? Can you tell the bank what you can handle, or what your business, or what your plan, what your idea is strong enough to handle? The adversity that your idea is strong enough to handle. Do you know that? This is why it was a good idea for us to assess your idea, because we have to know how strong this is. If a global pandemic, I lived through the flood that we had here 5 years ago. That was a national flood. People called me from all over the country. Are you guys okay? We didn't really know that it was flooding like that. But somebody on the other side of town, they're getting boated out. And then find out we didn't have have water for 2 weeks. Like, we didn't know that. And no one wanted to take pictures at a time like that. So I understand him. How did you shift? What was your tolerance? A lot of us are not prepared for that in our business plan. So, as I talked about Murphy's Law the last class, I think we need to prepare for Murphy. We need to prepare for Murphy more so than we're preparing for the millions. We're not running out of money no matter what people say. We're not running out of money no time soon. But we're also not running out of catastrophes and other things to come. And so you need to make sure your plan is battle tested and willing to be able to handle the adversity that you guaranteed to have during your business venture. Sometimes some people seem like they can handle it better than others, but maybe because they have a job and they're growing on the side, or maybe they had a lot of money saved up, or whatever the case may be, but everybody goes through it. And that's called your risk tolerance. And you have that underneath your reality check going into the looking ahead portion. So make sure you focus on that, because that's going to be a very, very important thing going forward in your business. Also, one thing I heard Rashik say is that he started shifting and calling different people. He's talked about law firms and other individuals. What is your pivot strategy? How are you going to pivot if something goes left? You know, you don't wait a lot of people didn't know about COVID and you had to make a shift. But most of the time, as entrepreneurs, COVID could have been like the Uber business, the taxi cab company. You know, Uber putting taxi cabs out of business unless you in New York City. Or maybe, but definitely San Francisco, because that's where it is. That's like a global pandemic to somebody driving a taxi cab in business. So you have to be thinking about your pivot all the time. Because it don't have to be a global pandemic. It doesn't have to be a flood. It doesn't have to be you falling sick. It can just be somebody studied this thing. Okay, we had these cell phones, these pages. Now we don't have pages no more. We have cell phones. And it's just gone. Blockbuster video is no longer here. It's just gone. Kodak is not making cameras anymore. They're just doing copies and other stuff, just gone. Because they're not shifting. Sony, my camera people, Sony came back on the scene with a vengeance with mirrorless cameras. And they made these cameras so cheap so the regular person can get the camera. And you don't have to spend $3,000. You get $600 camera, do what a $3,000 camera does. How do you plan for that when you have $10,000 worth of equipment to do your film business? And the other person can come with $600 and do the same thing you do. So everything is not going to be COVID. In business, it's your competition. This is what we talked about, that SWOT analysis, but you have to prepare your risk analysis, your risk tolerance. Now, our speaker that's going to come on tonight, Tom Ledbetter, he's going to go through this from top to bottom, because it's about your entrepreneurial readiness. Are you ready to be an entrepreneur? Now, I don't want him to scare you guys. I don't want him to scare you guys. But Tom is, of course, he taught me in FastTrac, and over the years after I graduated FastTrac, he's brought me on as a facilitator to help, and I've trained under him. But one thing I say about Tom, outside of him being a great gentleman, Tom, I'm going to ask you some of the most important and pertinent questions you're ever going to hear in your business career. And he's going to make you think. You might not be able to answer it tonight. You might have to come back later or shoot him an email because he's going to ask you those questions that you're scared to ask yourself about your business. But we need it because as entrepreneurs, you can be self-employed. And that's his word, intentional self-employment. That's his phrase. Like mine's I won't starve. His is intentional self-employment. But as entrepreneurs, this is one of the most selfless things you can do. Not selfish, selfless things you can do. Because there's a difference. When you're an entrepreneur, you have a different level of responsibility. You choose to put other people's lives ahead of yours sometimes. Because you got to pay other people's bills before you pay yours. You have to take care of other people's paycheck before you take home a paycheck. And so this is the truth-telling part about entrepreneurship. And it's going to get fun, and we're going to have some fun. We're going to get excited and all that other good stuff. But we want to start you off here first. So you know, hey, is this what I really want to do? Or do I need 2 or 3 people to help me out? Or do I need a little bit more money? Or am I just crazy? We're all crazy, you'll find, if you go into entrepreneurship. But at the same time, you know, you're a good crazy. But we have Tom Ledbetter again from Midlands Technical College. He's the vice provost of Midlands Technical College here in Columbia, South Carolina. Again, my teacher. He's been teaching FastTrac for about pushing 20 years now, right, Tom?
Well, it's 7. We started our first class was in 2004.
Okay. So yeah.
We've got like our 17th year coming up with the city of Columbia. Okay.
And I'm one of his graduates, and I mean he has $1 million businesses through the city of Columbia who has been through FastTrac. One of which is going to be one of our speakers later on down. And she's done business in DC here and all over the country with DOT, HUD, DHS, everywhere else. And she's a FastTrac graduate. So this class is great. It's multiple levels. You guys are getting in on the ground floor, and I think you guys are going to be excited. You're going to love Tom, just like we all do. And also, Tom has a birthday coming up, so before he speaks, I want everybody to say happy birthday, Tom.
All right. All right.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
I'll be 69 trips around the sun as of Saturday.
No way.
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
I guess. And hey, and don't forget that Emerald is also a FastTrac graduate, right? I didn't hear that said, right? So Jamar, you got to remember to say that. And Emerald, I need you to let me share screen, if you would. Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you a presentation here very quickly, and I apologize for being just a couple minutes late, but we'll go through this quickly. I will give this presentation to Jamar and Emerald, and they can share. They can send you a copy of it if you'd like. But this is a challenge presentation. This is the challenge is for you to think about the content here, not take notes, do anything else. I want your minds on the questions that I'm going to ask. All right, because it's all about you. It's about you as the entrepreneur, not about your business. It doesn't have to do with the business idea. It's all about you and what changes you're going to face as we go forward. So let me get this up. Well, I need to come back here right quick and share screen. And there it is, share, and get into the presentation mode. Now, when I go into the presentation mode, I can't see you guys. So if you're laughing and making faces at me, that's okay too, okay? All right, presentation is entrepreneurship for you. And the idea here is anybody can be a successful entrepreneur, but not everybody is going to be willing to take the first step. And that's depicted here with this picture of on the point of the spear, so to say. That's you. Are you ready to take it on? Do you have what it takes to be intentionally self-employed? And that's what I call this now. That's my hashtag. Hashtag intentional self-employment. I've been self-employed in my career. I didn't plan on it. It wasn't in the cards. I had no idea that I was going to be self-employed. But when your company shuts down and you're on the street, and where I found myself was in Raleigh, North Carolina, with a house there and a mortgage, a house in Lexington, South Carolina with a mortgage, 2 kids in college and no job. So I said, well, probably I need to do something about this. So I started my own business. And it was not a successful undertaking, because I had not asked myself all these questions. And I figured after 31 years in the private sector of being, in jobs and executives and vice president and everything else, I knew everything I needed to know about being successful as a small business. No, sorry. It didn't even come close. Did not even come close. So when you make the move, today we call it a side hustle. All right. So and I like watching you folks. So I'm going to come out of the presentation mode and just do it this way. Is that okay? All right. Is that okay? Because I like seeing your faces. I like witnessing what's going on here. So it's side hustle. How many of you have got a business going right now that is a side hustle? You got a daytime job and you're bringing in a little extra income, maybe not as much as you thought, but you want to get something going. But this idea here is to go from side hustle to fully engaged in this business. That is a big, big, big step. Okay. And it's going to take every amount of intestinal fortitude that you've got to go from side hustle to fully engaged. But let's qualify this. What does this mean? Okay, so I look at it and I say, we're going to understand yourself. This is what we talked about just a minute ago. I want to understand your intentional self-employment traits. What do you own right now that has the potential to add to your potential for success and being intentionally self-employed? Are you a self-starter? Tell you what, folks, if somebody's got to kick your butt out of the bed in the morning to get you going, save your money. All right. You're gonna have to be up and gone before the rest of the world is ready to participate, and you're gonna have to do it by yourself. I mean, I'm gonna ask the question later on, but I'm assuming you've got wives, husbands, significant others, children, and all this other stuff. You're getting ready to lay this in on top of that, and something's gonna get squished before it's all over with. And you need to understand that, because you've got to start maneuvering now prior to getting fully engaged in your business as to the impact on your family and your loved ones. So are you a self-starter? How well do you get along with different personalities? Okay. We all like to deal with people that we like dealing with. I mean, I like dealing with Jamar most of the time. Okay. And I like dealing with Emerald all the time. But the idea there is that you don't, in your business, you may not have the choice of who you're going to get to deal with. So you need to train yourself to deal with people that might not act like you. They might not share the same views. They might not look like you. And you got to be ready to step up to the plate and undertake that very quickly. Next up is, let me get here. Next up is, can you deal with a demanding client, an unreliable vendor, or a cranky receptionist, right? No, because you're going to be calling on customers, and the way the organization chart says, the guy at the top of the chart's the boss. And that's the formal organization. The person that's his or her administrative assistant's actually running the company, right? Because they're controlling access to this guy or gal or whatever is up there at the top. You've got to understand how to maneuver around that. And how are you going to act when somebody is right here in your face and they're saying things that you don't like and you want to do business with them and you got to choke it back? How well are you going to choke down those feelings? A demanding client, an unreliable vendor, you failed in something because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do for you. How do you translate? How do you pay that forward? Are you good at making decisions? Right. This is one of the crippling elements of a business, of a startup business, is you've got somebody that's running a business that just either doesn't know how to make a decision or won't make a decision. And one of the worst things that can happen in an organization is the inability to make a decision. Right? You make a good decision, that's great. You make a wrong decision, that's okay too, because we make mistakes. But if at least you're making a decision, you can't unmake a decision that's not been made. And it deletes, it just diminishes the impact of your business as you move forward. And anytime that you're wasting time in your business, I want you to come fully to grips with this. If you're wasting time, you're wasting money. Right? Whether you've got money in your hand or not, you've lost the potential to have money in your hand. And that's where you've got to be. That's where you've got to be. This is not intended to be a one-way conversation, by the way. If you have a question, raise your hand. All right. So, do you have the physical and emotional stamina to run a business? Okay. Are you ready to work 7 in the morning until midnight? Somewhere along in there. Are you ready? If your business requires you to be in the car and driving, are you ready to do that all day? If it requires you to stand on your feet all day, are you ready to do that? Is it going to be an emotional problem for you? Because we used to call it work-life balance. Now we call it work-life integration. You have to integrate what you're doing in your job into your life. All right. So the spouse is going to need attention. The kids are going to need attention. The broke down car is going to need attention. And how do you balance all of this physically and emotionally in order to keep putting one foot in front of the other all day? I mean, it just won't give up. How well do you plan and organize? If you got somebody like Emerald running around with you, don't have to worry about planning and organizing. Right, Jamar? Yeah, okay, yep, right. So he's back there. So it's my wife asked me one time, she said, you work with all these folks that are starting businesses and running businesses. So when are we going to go to business together? And I said, dearest wife of mine, which next month I'll be married to her for 44 years. Okay. I said, dearest wife of mine, we wouldn't make it through the first day of being in business together, because I'd tell you to do something and that goes against the natural grain of our marriage. Right. So, but she's one of the most highly organized individuals I have ever run into. She had her career as an administrative assistant in state government, and she was a whiz kid at that. Knowing what to do and how to do it and who to call and who could do these things, and she could do that for me, and I would love that. But she's more reactive than she is planner, and I'm a planner. Right? I've told her lots of times. I said, if we were back in the days when we met each other, we had to use Match.com or something like that to find each other, we'd have never found each other, because we're so totally different in the way we look at things. Is your drive strong enough? You're going to start on Monday morning from having stopped Sunday night sometime, and you're going to start another week, and it's another revenue gainer for you all week. Are you ready to roll nonstop till the next Sunday night to get going? because if you're serious about this business and the business does what you want it to do, you're not going to be able to put it down. You're not going to be able to put it down, and your family needs to understand that, and you need to understand that as to where you want to go. Will the business affect your family? Here it comes. All right. Does your spouse know what you're getting into? Do your children know what you're getting into? Do your parents know what you're getting into? Does the immediate family understand the commitment that you've got to make in order to be successful in what you're trying to get to? And it's the number one reason that businesses fail is because they run out of cash. Okay. But somewhere in the top 20, one of the reasons is it's created an insurmountable problem in the family. And they've got to shut the business down because of that. That's somewhere in the top 20. 50% of small businesses fail in the first year. Okay. The odds as they used to say are against you, all right, as far as your business is concerned. And for this one, 50% of small businesses fail within the first year. 75% of those that have failed in that first year, they've run out of money. And the reason that they're failing because they had a delay. They got to spend more money than they thought to get the business started, or they had a delay in the start of revenue. And I would say probably 2/3 of it is a delay in the start of revenue. They just said, okay, well, I'm gonna hit the market with this barbecue sauce, and I'm gonna immediately have people buying it. They're gonna be truckloads of stuff going out of here. Well, there's a couple of things like you got to negotiate with the food stores and the food chains and everything else. You got to set up distributors. You got to find somebody who can do that kind of volume. And all of a sudden, instead of bringing in cash within the 90 days, it's 270 days. It's 9 months before you start bringing in cash. And unless you're real lucky, you're going to run out of money, right? So you got to plan. 90% of the businesses aren't there that start today won't be there in 5 years. And these are pre-COVID numbers, and they've probably both been increased because of COVID. And I was just talking with somebody about COVID just a minute ago on another call. The numbers aren't in yet, but the businesses that are going to come out the other side of the COVID slowdown are going to be the businesses that have their heads up and their eyes open, and they're looking for the next opportunity, and they're able to pivot and move in the direction that they need to move. Okay, the Washingtons have done this, and I won't starve. They had one piece of their business affected. Now you've got the academy going. All right, so you've effectively moved and changed direction. Last year, 2019. In the top 20 reasons that businesses fail, number 1 was because they ran out of money. But number 19 was they failed to pivot when they needed to pivot. And that's all pre-COVID. And I think it's like number 3 was they pivoted, but they did it wrong. They pivoted in the wrong direction, all right, and still failed. So they ran into a brick wall there. When you look at these things, why businesses fail? So you've got those businesses. They got the lack of experience. You need to have know something about what it is you're trying to do, or have access to somebody that knows what you're trying to do. And you make up for a lack of experience by having an advisory board, an advisory council. I don't call it a board because they're not going to be helping you run your business, but you need to surround yourself with people that have some experience that you don't have. You got insufficient capital. Well, is there ever enough money? Probably not, but I think Murphy's Law says something about, all organizations expand to the limits of available space, and all organizations will spend every penny that's made available to them. Businesses don't like to save money. Okay, location. You don't start a retail location out in the middle of the country. This is basic stuff. But if you're going to run a retail location, if you require walk-up clients, if they're going to come in your front door for you to be successful, run an ice cream shop or a hamburger stand or something like that, location's critical. in small businesses, it's called inventory management, but I call it inventory as a bad word. If you're putting your cash into inventory and not generating revenue with it, you're putting your money in the wrong place. You know, figure out a way to run your business without having to have material on hand. And some businesses it's easier to do, some it takes a little more creative thought to get there. But inventory is a staging location for cash. And if you've got money spent on inventory, you don't have money to spend on other things when you need it. I'm going fairly quickly here, but you can come back and talk about these things after I leave, Jamar. All right. Overinvestment in fixed assets. This is one of my failure points when I started my business in 2002. My wife walked upstairs and she said, "What you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sending out some letters, getting some correspondence out." And she said, "Well, you know, how is the business going?" And I said, "How do you like my desk? Isn't this a nice desk? You know, what about this new laptop I've got here? This is a really slick piece of equipment. How about these business cards? These business cards really look nice." She looked back at me. She said, "You don't have any customers, do you?" And see, this is my wife. You know, she's able to ascertain these things. And I said, "Well, I'm going to have some before the week's over with." She said, "You damn well better have." All right, and it went from there. I was focused on the trappings of being in business for myself, and not focused on execution of the small business that I was in. Okay. You don't need those new business cards. You know, business cards are free at vistaprint.com. All right. You don't need a fancy design. You don't need a logo to get started. Get your name out there in front of people. They're going to be buying from you. They're not buying from the company anyway. Spend your time doing the things and spend your money on the things that lead to revenue. And this is Jamar and I talked about this a lot. If what you're spending your money on today doesn't lead to revenue tomorrow, you need to be questioning why you're spending that money today, because that is your it is the most critical piece of asset that you've got is your money. Use the other part. Your brain is the other part. Poor credit arrangements. Now that comes up if you've got to have money and you've got to have credit to extend. Don't let anybody use your money. For a small business, if you're going to do business with somebody, they pay upon delivery of the service, period. Don't send them an invoice. All they're going to do is sit on that, right, Emerald? They're going to sit on that invoice. And you don't have that money. You got Swipe, you got Square, you got PayPal and everything else. Figure out a way that before you give them the keys to whatever you just did for them, that they paid you in full. Get that. The cash has got to be coming to you almost immediately. But don't let anybody else use your money. This is where you get in trouble with your accountant and with the Internal Revenue Service. You get your company money mixed up with your private money. If you need private money to start your business, there's a way to do that. And the way you do that is that you loan your business money from you. Okay? And you get an official document. You say, I need $10,000 from my savings to start this business. Well, it comes to you, $10,000 comes with a check, but the check's attached to a note payable and a note receivable. And the nice thing about that is if you make money in your first year, you can use the profit to pay off the note, and you don't have to pay taxes on it because you're paying off the bill. But people will say, "Well, I've just borrowed money from my savings to get started," and they lose track of it, and then all of a sudden it's a big problem. If personal use of funds, when you start your business, the day that you form your LLC, you get your employer identification number from the Internal Revenue Service, and you go to the bank and you open a business account, and you put your money in there, and you never mix the two. Don't mix the two. Okay. A lot of businesses fail because they got an opportunity, got unexpected growth. They are not enabled to scale. They cannot scale, right? So you got, you know, like right now, Jamar and Emerald are in business, and that is the asset. They are the physical human assets of I Won't Starve. But if somebody comes along the line and says, we need to mobilize 50 of these classes, you know, in the next 6 weeks, and they go after it between the two of them, they're probably going to shoot one another before it's all over with. But they're also going to do physical damage to themselves trying to get there. And when you look at that, and let me go back up a minute. When you look at the opportunity, this unexpected growth needs to be thought about. You need to spend some time in each day reflecting upon what you've done. You got to have some time to think, not just execute all day. You not just run from one problem to the next or one sale to the next. You got to stop and think about it. And one of the things that you think about, you know, this customer came out of the blue. Are there others out there like that? Can we go get more of that? Well, you need to calibrate that with what your capacity is and how you're going to be able to do it. Competition. You underestimate the competition. Now, one of the ways to keep an eye on competition is, if you can't beat them, join them, is to collaborate with them, okay? And, you know, you look at that and you say, okay, well, what good does that do? Well, that's one less thing you got to worry about if you're collaborating with them. And they may have things that you don't have and vice versa, and you can actually get more growth out of the collaboration than you would do the businesses on your own. Sales. Somebody in your organization has to be given the responsibility. Whether you stand in the mirror in the morning and look at yourself and say, you are responsible for sales, somebody in your organization has got to be is on that nickel making that sale every day. If that's you, you can't take your eyes off of it. And if it's Jamar sitting in the office, Jamar doesn't need to be sitting in the office. He's got Emerald sitting in the office. Jamar needs to be on the street hustling that next sale. Somebody's got to own it, because there's an old saying out there, nothing happens till you sell something, okay? And I don't care what kind of business you're in. Nothing happens until you get that order in hand. And sales is a profession. Sales is professional. Sales is a skill set that you can learn. And there are 2 or 3 people running around Columbia right now that are experts in sales and sales capability. And Jamar and Emerald can refer you to any of those, or I can refer you to them. You come back to the good news. After all of this, I hope I haven't scared you off. Nobody's gotten up and left yet, all right? But the good news is you're going to be your own boss, all right? And everybody knows what boss spelled backwards is, right? It's double S-O-B, okay? Right? And you gotta, you know, you're gonna be the one pointing the finger at yourself, all right? Because when you point that finger out at somebody else, there's 3 of them pointing back at you, and that's the power of the boss. Hard work and long hours will benefit you, not somebody else. You're not gonna make somebody else rich by your work there. And the earning and growth potential are far greater for being in business for yourself than they are. Just take it. You're never going to get rich working for the man. It ain't going to happen. It is not going to happen. So if you've got a path to your own business. You got a path to where you want to get there. And what I love is that new venture is as exciting as it is risky. I mean, you're going to spend as many nights going to bed not able to sleep because of something exciting than you are worried as you are worried about something. And when you go to bed on Thursday, when you go to bed on Wednesday night and you got $1,000 payroll to make on Thursday and you only got $100 in the bank, you're not going to sleep a lot. You're not going to sleep a lot. But this is where you got to come in. And running this business provides endless opportunities and challenges for learning. Because one of the things you're going to do when you step into the driver's seat of a business, you start learning. And if you ever get to the point where you say to yourself, I know everything I need to know, go down to the bank cash out all your stock and everything else because you're getting ready to lose a whole lot of money at that point. You'll never stop learning as a small business owner. Okay, this is on the wall in my office. Jamar walks by it every time he walks into my conference room. Think big, start small, and move fast. Okay. Yeah, think big. I'm gonna be the best provider of hot dogs. I'm gonna own every corner in the city of Columbia with my hot dog stands. But I gotta start with one. And once I get that one in place, I'm gonna move as fast as I can to own every corner in Columbia. That's the way you gotta think. All right. And just to, if I leave you with that, and my credentials and my information is here. You know, what I don't have on here is my cell phone number. Let me add that right quick. Late in the day, can't type, but that is my cell phone number. And I invite any of you to, you know, work with me, work with Jamar, work with Emerald to get to where we need to get to. And it has been my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to be with you this evening. So, Jamar, I'll send this to you tomorrow morning, and I'll send it to you as a PDF, and you can send it out to everybody if they'd like to have it.
Tom, this is really great.
Thank you so much. This is how we clapping hands today. I'm sure a couple of people have questions for you, and Tom,
Okay.
You might not know, but we have people on here from all over the country. So there's only a couple of people here from Columbia.
All right.
Everybody's here you have people from Northern California, Southern California, Texas, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, all over the place. So Next Phase Management has just expanded national.
Okay. All right.
So,
All right. So I see Jana. Jana, are you from the left coast out there? All right.
That's so funny. As Jamar was going through this, I'm like, yeah, and I have a San Francisco background, and I'm in Maryland.
All right. So I have a San Francisco background, but I'm from North Carolina. Right. So
I'm from the Bay Area.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Has the fires been tamed out there yet?
You know, it's I haven't, you know, there's glimpses of blue every now and then, but most of the time it's just overcast, or it's you could just see the smoke laying when it's not windy.
Wow.
Okay.
So Tom, I had a question. Luckily, Jamar gave us the disclaimer of not to feel nervous and run away. I also think I'm probably one of the younger participants in in this group. So, when you were going through some of those reasons, you know, are you really ready? And I was doing my thinking, and I was like, okay, I need to definitely look at the emotional, think about the family. What things or what tips would you give to help kind of go through that stuff? Because I do work full time, so I'm kind of in the side hustle with aspirations.
Very, very selectively, Jana, find people that you can share the journey with. All right. Not a half a dozen or so, but find one or two people that may have had experience and where you want to go and where you're trying to get to, that you trust, and then you go forward from there. But folks, I've got people in my conference room waiting for me to join them there. So I need to run. I get off and run. So you've got my email address. If you got any other questions or anything, feel free to email me.
And Tom will be back, you guys. He'll be back in another class as well.
Okay.
So, Tom, thank you so much again. I appreciate you, man.
All right.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
All right. Thank you. All right. Catch you later.
All right. Anybody else have any more questions pertaining to what I do this class? I've been doing this class every year since Tom taught me with him, so I can pretty much answer. Ever since my first class, every time he's been in class, he's recruited me to be his understudy, to train under him. I just again, it's been humble enough to go ahead and just learn and then grow and bring my company to a point where we can go ahead and provide it ourselves. But definitely ask any of the questions that you have. What do you guys think about the presentation?
I thought
Yeah,
it
the
was good.
presentation was good. I got a quick question though, Jay. So, and this is something that I wanted to raise to him, but I definitely want to raise it to you in the group. So I definitely have been a part of sales and doing things like that. And I can tell you, I hate sales. I can do just about anything else, but I don't like that whole feeling that it gives me. So when we look at sales as a profession, right? For me, that's probably something that I'm going to have to pass off to somebody else. So what advice would you give in that area? Should we push to get better in that area, or should we say that's not my thing and hire somebody else to do it?
Well, sometimes in business, your finances will make the decision for you. So if you can't pay somebody, you don't have the budget to pay someone, then you can't get anybody, right? So let's just go with if you have no budget and it has to be you. No, I don't say you have to get better at it. It just takes a little bit more of your thinking, and it's about the networking piece. What I say is about being the cheese. So we're grown here, even though Jane is young, but she's still grown. If we have my wine drinkers here, if you ever been to a wine festival and you go into a wine festival, you have the people selling the red, selling the white, and everything like that, right? So you see there's not a lot of people making money. The people that selling wine is not buying wine from each other, right? They just have customers that's there that's buying wine. But the people who selling wine, they are buying one thing, and that's the cheese. Because the cheese has no competition. The cheese has no competition. Everybody is the cheese's customer. And so when you put yourself in rooms or in situations where you can provide a service or sell a product to everybody around, they'll come to you. So that eliminates you selling. You don't have a problem with selling when somebody comes to you. You probably have a problem with going out and introducing yourself to other people from that perspective. But if someone came to you about your business, you can sell it all day. So you set the trap for them. You set the trap for them to keep coming to you, and you can go ahead and give them what you need to do. So you have to keep putting yourself in your strong suit. You know, you have a lot of people who are introverts. I always tell them, now this is COVID, we're in the COVID world now, but I should tell them when you go to a function, your table need to be the one with all of the lights and everything to make people stop by your table. Because you're ready to talk about your business, but you're not gonna go to the other table and drag nobody back over there. So you gotta be the one that had the TV up, you gotta have all of the decorations, you gotta have the flying things and everything like that. And so people will come to you, and then you'll have no problem talking about your business once somebody approaches you. So that's usually what happens with most people. Now, if you're in a business where you're it's all commission based, like real estate, then yes, you definitely have to join groups. You know, you have to team up with individuals, get a niche real fast. So let's just say if you join up with a commercial real estate agent and you do homes, this person is helping you sell, because as they're working with the commercial side, everybody who's doing residential, they'll pass them off to you, and vice versa. So it's those type of things you can do to help. Go ahead. I thought you were about to say something. So you team up, get yourself with somebody. This is all on a shoestring budget. But if you got a little bit of money, yes, hire somebody else to sell you, please. And this is further down the line in business, but I'll tell you guys, we're losing in business because we don't want to invest. Everybody keep telling you that business is free, do everything on social media for free. You're going to take you 5 years longer than you would have to do if you spend your little $100 or $200 a month. It's very, very important that you make an investment in your business. There's no way you want $100,000 a year and you don't want to spend $5,000. Now, nobody's going to tell you that you give me $5,000, I'm going to give you $100,000. But I'm going to tell you, if you spend some money, you'll get a whole lot more back. And it'll leapfrog a whole bunch of things and hurdles that you go through. So whatever you have, spend a little something but keep investing. And what you don't have in money, invest in time. Put your time into it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So is the process still the same if your business is going to be like starting a nonprofit, and like the podcast is going to be a leg of that nonprofit? So I mean, is that different because you're looking for donations more so, or I mean, is it just
It's not different at all. It's not different at all. What the next phase of this class, and I want you guys to look at it going into looking ahead and looking at your key considerations and talking more about your ideas. We're going to be ushering into your market research. With a nonprofit, you have to understand that your customers are not always your clients. I'll say that again. Your customers are not always your clients. So if you're running a bodega, a store, or something like that, the Pepsi that you buy, you're not their customer. You're a customer, but you're not their client. They sold to the store. The store sold the soda to you. You understand what I'm saying? So the nonprofit, you have to sell to the people who are going to pay your nonprofit. Now you might want to, and I know your story, Sean, so you want to help ex-offenders. They don't have money coming out. So you have to sell your services to the people who are spending money to help those individuals. And so you run it like a business like that. So, okay, if you have maybe the city of San Francisco has earmarked $100 million. I'm praying for you to say that happens, but they earmarked $100 million to help out ex-felons, right? That's Kamala Harris's city. So maybe if she gets elected, maybe she could do something like that. So she earmarks this amount of money to help felons, and you're going to get 10 million of it, right? You selling to them. You're not selling to the felons. The felons are your customers. You're going to take care of them with the money, but the sale is to them. And so you got to go at them just like it's somebody else. And that's how you flip it and bounce it when it goes to nonprofit. A lot of people think about the donation portion, and that's fine, but you got to go ahead and get what you call, these people who the real donors, not people giving $5, people who commit to every year, I got to give these people 20,000. And that's a sale. That's a sale because people are invested in your service. They're going to say, well, Sean is going to take care of these felons for you because the bank not going to come out and do it, but they'll probably pay money. One of my biggest investors and one of my biggest donors is Wood Forest National Bank. Wood Forest National Bank is not going to come out and deal with the individuals that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, but they know I will. And so they invest in I Won't Starve multiple occasions to go ahead and do the work. All these people have quotas that they have to meet for some is environmental, some is about the healthcare, some is about the low income areas, all of that stuff. You have to find that out. And then you go and target the people. That's what we talk about market research. You got to find the people who are buying the service, even from a nonprofit. It's just the tax status. So it's beneficial for them, a private company to work with you than it is me, because you'll get a tax deduction.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Or give them a tax deduction, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's just a matter of the pitch is basically the program plan. So whatever my plan, which is a business plan essentially.
Yeah. So what I did was this is what I did, right? And I Won't Starve is a nonprofit. This is what I did. We created 3 years ago, we created the I Won't Starve experience. And I went to Angelo, who was here with me, his office. I went to Tom's office. I went to Wood Forest Bank and a couple other offices. And I told them, I said, I'm going to do this event for up and coming entrepreneurs, because I was around and I watched the city, the county, everybody do it, and nobody was getting anything out of it. It's a bunch of people who work their jobs, and it's just a line item of an event they have to do every year, and none of the entrepreneurs were getting anything out of it. And so I did this event, I packed it out, they got a chance to see it, and all of them bought in. They said, how can we be a part of this every year? And they all bought in. Some bought in with, I'm donating you space to do it. Some bought in with, I'm going to give you money. Some of them gave resources of giving people, Midlands Technical College gave classes away. or discounted classes for people who came through. So that's the type of situation that happens. But I gave them an audition, and they watched us pack a whole room, and they say, okay, this works. Okay, we're gonna let you do the work for us. So now I do the legwork for them. And that's what you get here, because I'm gonna give you my experiences. This is stuff I've done, and this is what's happening. So, you know, and of course I'm here for all of you all. So outside of here, reach out to me. If you're working on a project, we can help you make sure it gets done. So make sure that don't hold anything back, so that you can actually grow here.
What thoughts did you go into in deciding to go for a nonprofit or for-profit business?
Besides Emerald telling me to.
Okay, E, what was your thought? What was your thought process?
No, what happened? I didn't want to do nonprofit. I honestly didn't, because a lot of people in our community think of nonprofits as an easy way to get money from a donation perspective. And I actually wanted to do something that was meaningful for our community and actually have something set up for real. Because I mean, I'm telling you, you have nonprofits who are, their whole thing is, I'm moving into a place, give us money, give us this, do this. No, it's still a business. And so what I'm able to sell a real service, real products to another organization or another entity to move my community forward. You know, so if you're already helping my community and you're not teaching them entrepreneurship, you can go ahead and come to I Won't Starve and invest in us. And if you're a for-profit entity, you can get a tax deduction or a tax break by using us as opposed to using someone who is for-profit entity. And that's what.
So it's more so the benefits to collaborating with other businesses and organizations.
And also understanding who my customer is. You know, again, if you want to help inner city individuals who don't have funding, you'll never grow in business. You know, if they're the ones who want to give you the money, but you have millions of dollars being created and earmarked from government agencies, other places where they're doing that, and they're looking for people just like you to provide services that they don't have the time to. So people went to work from 9 to 5. Who's working from 6 to 7:30?
Well, Emma's unconvinced me now, because I was with you, Jay. I'm like, listen, we don't need another nonprofit. We need.
No, look, I fought Emerald tooth and nail until it clicked.
Yeah.
It clicked, and I said, okay, but I was just it was all about integrity. I did not want to be out here.
Yeah.
I had a nonprofit as a tenant in my building, and soon as she walked in the building, she said, well, she put on Facebook, I got a new space, and we need free this, we need free. I said, no, don't do that. We'll help you get that. Just don't do that, you know, because I hated that type of thing.
Yeah.
And you're in business, this is what you signed up for. That means if you got a space, you should, go ahead and get what you need to get. But no, people got the wrong misconception about what nonprofit looks like, and I was one of them. I was one of them, and that's why I didn't want to do it. But it's been successful for us.
So partnering with private businesses in trying to find a way to make that work where they get the tax deduction by partnering with you.
That's automatic. That comes automatic. You don't have to try to make that work. You just got to find out. So let's just say you talk about you want to partner with a bank, right? Out in let's say we're gonna call it California First, right? And you got to find out what are their initiatives that they do. What are their community initiatives? So if their community initiatives is helping felons or ex-offenders, then they're right up your alley. And so now you have to go and find out when is the time that they give away money. A lot of times people are giving away money at the top of the year. So you don't want to wait till January. You might want to start asking now when they're going to give away money. And then you start, because people already seasoned at this, so they already know. So soon as September 1 comes, they probably got 50 already applications in or 50 bids in. So you find out when the time is and you go out there and you start pitching those individuals. So it's probably going to be California first, San Francisco second, and Oakland third, all doing the same thing. And you need to have a bid into all of those people. And then if they like what you're doing, then go ahead and go from there. My personal approach is that I show first and ask later, you know, because you can't really deny success. So if I show you a room full of people, and then, you know, Wood Forest Bank signed up 30 accounts on the first time they came to deal with me, and didn't have to give me anything. So what if all 30 of the people still got bank accounts? That's pennies what they had to give me, of course, according to them. But I've worked with them on major events. I worked on at least 6 events since then. So it's different situations, so you understand.
So what you're saying is that you had the proof of concept already before you asked for the money. You already said, hey, look, I can do this.
Yeah, that's my approach. Some people just go ask.
Well, I'm trying to think with offenders. I mean, the only thing I could do with that is like take a couple of them and mentor them and apply what you know what I mean? But it's.
Now we gonna let some. I want y'all all to get into this, but listen to this. You're missing the point. You got to see is if that's what they want. If that's what they want, you'll know how they gave before. So if that's one of their initiatives, who they already work with. So you'll find 5 or 10 other nonprofits in your area that they're already working with. And they'll say, oh, okay, well, and then you got to find out what are they providing that you're not providing, or something else that you can, the way you can get in. So
and that's the market research part of it?
Exactly. That's what we're going to be talking about on Tuesday.
Okay.
That's the market research part about
it. So there's a place where you can find all of these you know, I guess corporations and banks and community that have community missions, and they're all in one location, or do you guys got to go and figure it out?
No, we definitely going to talk about that on Tuesday.
All right.
And I'm going to show you for sure. I promise you, Sean, I got you. And they're not in all in one place, but there's multiple places that you're going to find them. And I love this because this is going to get you right to it. This is going to get you right to it. But yes, Tuesday, and I want you to go ahead and read ahead. Read ahead and start seeing it. But I'm going to show you because some of the stuff, the work is already done for you. Some of the work you're going to do yourself. And it's different with every business, nonprofit, for-profit, product-based business, service-based business. It's different for everybody, but a lot of this stuff is already there. And all this information that you talk about, this is why you're here, because you're going to get all of it. I want everybody to get it at the same time, and then we can go ahead and talk about it some more. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but definitely great questions. And then also, we're going to stay on for a couple minutes afterwards. We've got some extra questions. That's fine. Who else has a question about what Tom talked about, or anything that has developed in your mind over this evening? Nobody?
Jay, that was a strong revelation to understand the difference between a client and a customer. You know, without really having that broken down, it's easy to just kind of combine the two. And that's why, again, you know, these classes are so beneficial for us as we're looking and listening to things both you and Tom have been teaching. You know, just kind of reanalyzing what we've done, the steps that we've taken, oh, okay, good, we're on track with that. Like, oh, didn't know that we should have done that type deal. And it's really just helping us to really fine tune what we're doing prior to the launch. So that was very, very good.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we have a misconception about. Your customers is just strictly transactional. You know, your clients is a relationship. And in business, you want relationships. You know, you want relationship. That again, anybody can pull off the side of the road, taking a nice drive, going in and buy a Pepsi Cola at a gas station. You don't have to change your name. You don't have to do anything. Just get a soda and keep going. They cannot tell the bank that they can't count on you and say, okay, I'm gonna have 500 people come off the street and buy Pepsi Colas and get a loan off of that. But if they say they have 50 clients that has signed on to deal with them weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, then now the bank want to hear from them and they'll give them some money off of that. So we want to aspire to understand who our clients are and then also understand who our customers are. A lot of times, customers are people or that we have to do a lot of serving to, but they're not giving us anything. You know, we might be serving them, but we're not getting anything from them. We're getting something from our clients, especially at my faith-based organizations. You know, we might get caught up with the parishioners. The parishioners are who you serving. But you might have a client is this bank or these other individuals who giving you money to be able to provide the programs and the ministry that you're trying to do. So that's a very, very important dichotomy that we have to understand as business owners. Who are my clients and who are my customers? A lot of times we don't know that, but this is what we're here for.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with a nonprofit, it sounds like you're saying that the goal is to you want to have basically a client relationship with people who are going to constantly donate money into your organization. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Not all the time. I mean, you might be filthy rich and you create a nonprofit to go ahead and create tax breaks for yourself, and then so you're not worried about anybody donating. But I know Sean's situation. So if you're creating a nonprofit, like, okay, I remember what you talked about earlier today. You talked about wanting to create something for children, right? Now, those teenagers don't have any money to pay you for a coding class. And maybe mom might, maybe they don't. But if mom doesn't have it and you want to help inner city youth, they don't have that type of finances, right? So you create a 501c3, you know, and you go ahead on and start providing this service to them. So you go to the school board, you go to the city, you go to different entities that's invested in helping a certain demographic of children, and they're saying, okay, well, you're going to provide this service if it's needed by them. Sometimes they'll create a grant with you in mind. They'll say, you know what, we're going to add you to a grant, and we're going to put $50,000 for you for the year. I literally just submitted paperwork today to the school board here in Columbia because they have a program here, and of course I wrote my second book, You Won't Starve, and so this was for Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Z, millennials, and baby boomers. But Gen Z is the people that's in high school right now, and so they say, okay, we're doing a grant with the University of South Carolina. We're going to write you into the grant and see if we get this grant, and if you get it, you're going to teach from this book. But that's where that comes from. So sometimes you might be pitching the program to somebody that hasn't even been created yet. And they'll say, you know what, we're going to write a grant and put you in it and add $50,000 to it for you. And they might say it might be a 3-year grant. So you get $50,000 annually for 3 years. So you just got to follow the rules and guidelines of what they say, how you got to earmark the money and allocate the funds. But other than that, you can still get your funding. But some people start nonprofits because they're filthy rich and they need a way to get some tax breaks, and they want to just give. They got to give some of that money away. But if for you, you're probably going to have to go nonprofit because those kids or those parents that you probably want to help might not have the type of funds to pay you on a regular basis. So what did I do? This is a good question. What did I do with all of these, when we talked about these circumstances, because you have a circumstance, Sean has a circumstance, Jana had a good question, but what is the thing that stuck out between all of them, and as far as my answer to all of them?
Persevere and pivot.
Say what?
Persevere and pivot.
No. Somebody else that's not talking? Let me see. Then we're gonna be volunteering. We're volunteering. Where's Andrell? Hey, what's up, man? It's your first day. What happened? What did I say before we close out? Is he still on? I don't know where he is. Somebody else. Come on, Singleton.
Oh. Oh, I'm having tech. Hold on.
Are you muted?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There you go. I mean, for me, it seems as though that all of us have to, I'm trying to find the words. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to find the words just to say, like, you know, with the businesses and things like that everyone has, whether it's just nonprofit, you're finding a way to serve the people that you want to get to. That's what I took out of it.
I saw Jana say something like identify the proper client, but I would say identify your client.
Right.
Identify your client. Jana put that in the chat. That's where it came from. Every answer that I put out there was identifying your client. It changes who your client, depending upon who your client is. So everybody can have the same issue, but it changes depending upon who your client. So you have to know, we talked about this on Tuesday, know what you offer. And if you know what you offer, you know who wants what you offer. And then it takes you it answers the question for you. You know, you start building surfboards, it's not smart to be trying to sell them on a basketball court because you can't surf on a basketball court. It's just that
simple. Won't be there.
Exactly.
Or the companies that want to help you get it out or distribute it.
And that's where we are. That's where we are. A lot of times we make business so hard. And because we waste a lot of time, like Tom was saying, we waste a lot of time because we figure everybody can be our client because we love that business so much. The idea is the greatest idea ever, and everybody should use it. And then your own mama won't buy it. Your own sister won't buy it. But the truth of the matter is, it's not because they don't love you. They just actually don't need what you have. Maybe they're happy with Sprint. So just because you have a cell phone, don't mean that they're going to buy it. And so you have to say who actually needs what I'm selling or what I'm serving, and then go straight to them. I don't care if it's on the other side of the country. It might be what they're selling is in San Francisco and you in New York. What you're selling is in San Francisco. You might have to go over there or find somebody way over there to sell your product over there. I know we're at the end. I'll close with this quick, small story. Somebody who came to FastTrac, they're here they're in Newberry, South Carolina. There's a couple. They're millionaires. They're in Newberry. Newberry probably population is probably 20,000, but they're millionaires, and they sell furniture, antique furniture, but they sell it online overseas. They don't even sell it in America. See what I'm saying? So that's when you talk about finding your niche and finding out who your customer is. That's perfect. That's perfect, and that's what we want to do.
Jay, I got a question. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What would you say in a situation where you can offer a service you can identify your customer? You may not have the proper tools and the resources to offer them what they want at that particular time, but you know down the road you can. So would you say it's good to build that relationship and that rapport so by the time you can offer that service, it's like they locking you right in and they skipping all the red tape?
Oh man, that's a great question. Definitely you want to build that relationship. And for my people who want to work in government, as far as entrepreneurship and get government contracts and things like that, this is the perfect time to become what is called a subcontractor. You might not be able to be a prime contractor and get the main contract, but if you're a subcontractor, you actually get in there and start building a relationship at the same time making money. So you can still do that outside of government, but that's very, very prevalent in government contracting. You can subcontract, get in there, and you have a specialty, get in there, you start learning the job, start meeting individuals, and then a couple of years later, they say, well, he's been on this job, that job, we'll give him a chance to be a prime contractor. But that happens in the private sector as well. Partner with someone, get in there, serve. Hey, you know somebody, you know you're the greatest at what you do. This person is okay at what they do, but you're great at it, but they're probably great at sales. They probably can get contracts left and right. You can't. Well, you know what? Let me help you out. take less money the first time so that people can see your work, and then you make that relationship, and then you grow from there. A lot of times we gotta have it our way, like Burger King. You know, it's like if I don't have the whole contract, I don't want it. No, sometimes you gotta get in and get a piece of it, and get your foot in the door. In business, one thing that's great about business, you can learn a lot and get paid at the same time. You know, it might not be getting paid a lot, but I took pictures as a photographer. Sometimes I did $50, $60, $100 photo shoots. That was a long way from me getting paid from Nike. That's a long way from me getting paid from Amtrak. That's a long way from me getting paid from Save the Children. But I was learning on the job, and I was getting paid to learn. I don't know too many people make $100 an hour. So making $100 on just taking some pictures for an hour, it might have been low then, but when I got it, I thought it was everything. Because I don't know people who make $100 an hour. You know, so, but I was learning, I was making acquaintances. I met some very, very important people, and they put me in a position that I am now. So that's a great question, Hanif. I know we're behind on time. One last question, and we'll go. And anybody who needs to go, we're gonna let you go ahead. I want you moving forward with the looking ahead portion. If you're still right behind the assessing your idea, you have the looking ahead portion. You're gonna go into your key considerations, talking about your idea as well as creating your elevator pitch, which I'm going to talk about a little bit with market research next week. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about your risk and then moving forward. But go through that piece, and then we're going to pick up on market research next week. If you have any more questions, if you got to go ahead. Thank y'all for going through y'all first week, but I'm going to stay on a little bit longer to answer some other questions for some other people. Did everybody enjoy Tom tonight? Y'all can put it in the chat, give Tom some love. His birthday's tomorrow. He's turning 69 years old. He doesn't look it. And he's still kicking and screaming and doing his thing. So shout out to Tom. I wanted him to come in because he had something for him, but he couldn't make it in. So I was going to go ahead and embarrass him in front of all y'all and give him something in front of him. But we couldn't do the mushy stuff. But thank you guys. If you got to go off, go ahead. But I'm going to stay on a little bit longer and answer some questions. And Emerald's on if you have technical questions.
Jay, I have a question.
Sure.
One thing I'm unsure of, and I hear a lot about government contracting, and you've mentioned it before. How do you know if you have a business that you can get a government contract? Like, I'm a social media manager, I have an agency, but would that be something that the government would provide me with a government contract for?
It all depends. It all depends. So maybe federal, no. But maybe local government, yes. Because a lot of major government entities have social media issues, and they're watching, you know, how people use social media, if you use social media or not with their companies, or with their office. So they're kind of behind the times with that. You know, I've done a lot of advertising work and helping people out by making commercials and things like that because they couldn't use social media. You know, so, but local government does. So if you find your city, small municipalities in the city, things like that, most cities have multiple departments. Like your city is going to probably have economic development, community development, you know, all those type of different departments, and each department has their own funds. And so, yes, they use that type of stuff. You know, also, but the government contractors buy all type of goods and services. They buy from photography, they buy food services, everything. They have events. You can like say if you're having a big construction contract, like here in Charleston, South Carolina, they're building a museum here. You have food truck vendors that have that contract to sell food to the construction workers every day. And so that's like a 2-year job where they can come and park their food truck out there, you know? And one thing I would say, this again, being the cheese with networking. Sometimes you want to go to a government contracting event and get the other people as jobs. You know, maybe not the government, but maybe that food truck vendor. You know, maybe that person that has the cleaning business that's going to want to get the cleaning contract. The person that want to paint those individuals, those are your customers. That was one of my greatest, that introduced me to the government contracting with photography. I set up at a DOT function. They're like, what DOT needs a photographer for? Well, they didn't book me then, but 7 other people did from different walks of life and business and said, hey, we need headshots. And we need this shot, we need that, we need all this other stuff. Because I was in the room with these people. DOT was a potential client, but everybody else was a potential client as well. So being around there, those are people, people who want government contracts are more serious business owners. They're more serious business owners because they were willing to take the time to get certifications. They paid money to be able to be at a government function. Because a lot of times you don't go to government functions for free. You know, certain ones it costs some money. So those are more serious entrepreneurs, and they're willing to invest in a service like yours. A startup, a lot of times, is saying, well, I can go on Facebook for free. Why I need her? But when you get to that serious business owner, they'll say, you know what, like B said, or Jamani, he said, I don't like doing this. I might have to hire somebody. He understands that. And so that's where you'll find those people who understand the value of a dollar and be willing to invest in.
Got you. Thank you.
I have a question about something that you said when you were talking about your experience. How did you move from where you were doing the jobs for $100 and that seemed like a lot then? How did you move from that phase into, okay, now I know what I'm worth and what I'm capable of doing, and starting to find the clients that could pay it, and also being willing to ask for what you should be paid as well? Oh man,
that was and I wrote about that in my book. We were in a real bad space, and I literally tried to get rid of my camera. I did get rid of it. I sold it, and then my pastor gave it back to me. And I really needed the money. So if somebody hired me and they only had $100, I was gonna take it because I needed it. But I was still learning the craft and learning about the business side of the craft, not so much. I was already okay at taking pictures. It was just I needed to understand the business of it. And I knew what I wanted to do full time. And then when I started doing the market research, I got hired by a law firm. And I took pictures for a law firm, and I thought I made like $1,000. I thought I hit the lottery, right? Because I only did like 2 hours worth of work, but I made like $1,000. I was like, yes, this is it. This is the type of work I want to do. And it took like another year for it to actually come to fruition. But off of that, I went ahead and a couple months later, I left my job because I said, I know exactly what I want to do. I got a small office space before I left my job right downtown on Gervais Street in the heart of the city, right where all of the business individuals are, so they can just walk to me. And I literally came downtown, got flyers, and I got brochures, and I walked up and down town to every law firm and passed out flyers and passed out my brochures to every law firm there until they started booking me. And that's what I started doing here. And then when we had the flood, that very next year, we had the flood here, I was out serving, passing out water, and also taking pictures for my church, making sure that we were documenting what we were doing. And I actually worked with the mayor at a function, and we were serving, and he asked me for the photos. He said, did you get those photos? Like, yes. He said, can you send it to me? I sent it to him immediately. Well, most of the pictures you guys probably saw in 2015 with the mayor that's in the newspaper were mine. And so he hired me for multiple jobs after that. And then it just took off from there. So serving, everything I tell you guys to do, I was out serving with my camera. And I went out and I literally painted this downtown Columbia, red, black, and white, the colors of my company, with my flyers and with my brochures. I walked in, shook hands, and kissed babies to every law firm. I even went down to 1300 Main Street where they have the whole, or 1200 Main Street, and I would give them to the person downstairs and let them send them upstairs to every law firm that's in that building until somebody hired me. So that's how I was able to do that.
You got at it. You got to work.
But it's the work. That's what the work looks like. I bought me a little shirt, with a collar shirt, a polo, and I walked. I walked with Mercedes and Benz. These two Mercedes and Benz, and we walked down the road, and and we got it together. But it's easier ways to do it now. But if you have a little bit more money, then you can do mailers. You can send that stuff to them in the mail. I probably would never do that again because that was my path at the time. Now I'll probably stick something in the mail to all of them. And a mailer costs you 30 cents a piece. But you ask my walk, no pun intended, that was my walk. Any more questions? Anybody have any questions about the technical issues? Anybody have any technical issues right now? Everybody was able to get in and get to their modules properly? I know that was an issue the last time.
For me and my wife, should me and Joanna, should we work together in the same module?
Yeah, you can. I mean, unless you guys, you guys got two different things you guys are doing, so that's fine. And we encourage that. You know, I know you guys are partners with business, so it's okay. No big deal. It all depends on you guys.
All right.
Yeah, it all depends on you guys. I don't feel no type of way about that. Go ahead. And if you have a business partner, somebody, please bring him or her in from time to time so they can know what you're learning. They can ask questions. You know, it's a good situation.
Oh, this is okay. We can pin this for next Tuesday's call because I know everybody's right ready to go. But deciding and determining those relationships, what goes into that? How do you I know it's one part of it is what your needs are and kind of, finding similar thinking people, finding people that also help match the things that you need. But I don't know, I have a lot of anxiety around picking the wrong relationship, right? Or trying to move forward and wasting time with poor relationships. Like, what's your process? Is it like an interview? Like,
it's never wasting time. In business, it's hire fast, fire faster. And sometimes that means you firing your client. You can get rid of a client. It's okay. So it's just like any other relationship. Sometimes it might work for a season. It might work sometimes it might masquerade as a client and really be a customer. A lot of people have big bluster, big talk. We've dealt with that recently. We allowed somebody to do something and they came to us, they had the whole layout about how great they were going to be in a relationship they wanted. 30 days later, nothing. A big fat nothing. So sometimes it masquerades at that, but you know what? It's only 30 days because we cut it off. And we cut it off. We even rescind it. We say, okay, we're going to take back invoices. Now, don't worry about it. We're going to move on.
You're reclaiming your time, huh, Jay?
Yeah, because we can't do that. And it's on you. As long as nobody don't have a gun to your head, it's on you, the decisions you make and who you work with. But it's a two-way street. I want to work with people who want to work with me, even organizations. I've had situations where I've done great work for organizations and they want to move on from me, but then they come back because you want to try somebody cheaper. Or I had a contract for 2 years and now they have a new person that's at the top of and they want to bring one of their people in. But then they find out everybody else is complaining because the level of service has gone down. And so now they want to come back to me and get an attitude because my prices are up now. It's a different situation. So sometimes you might be the one that you didn't know from lack of experience. You didn't do that job well and they let you go, So everything is never perfect, but it's really like relationships. But all of them don't have to be marriages. So in businesses, when you have a relationship, your relationships are business tactics. And it's for execution. Who is the best person or the best entity I'm gonna work with for me to execute my plan? Not just have you around. We don't want that. The worst
execution. That's what I'm taking away today.
Let me tell you the worst feeling when you got all these Facebook friends, right? You got 5,000 Facebook friends. You put something up and 2 people like it. That's how it happens in business. You got all these people in your phone. You call all these people, you can't get nothing to shake. but 1 or 2 people.
Preach.
So at the end of the day, you gotta start getting some of them people out of your phone, because that's gonna get you confused. You're gonna think that it's like you have all these clothes, you don't wear them all. You gotta get rid of. I haven't worn this in years. I might have to get rid of this. My wife says it. Everyone says it all the time. When the last time you wore that? Probably a couple years ago. Get rid of it. You're not gonna wear it now. And it's the same thing. When the last time you called him or her? A couple years ago. You're not gonna call her now. You're not gonna call him now. That person might don't even work at that department anymore. Move on. You can't afford to do that. So, it's important that we stay on top of our business like that and our relationships. What are fruitful relationships? You have to determine, what is a fruitful relationship? What relationship am I benefiting from? It's important. The quickest way to benefit from a relationship is to give something to somebody. Some of the people who know me here, I've given a lot. So I'm fair. So if I ever had to come ask for something, I'm not really expecting to hear anything negative because I do a good amount of giving. And so that's what that's about. So if you ever want a partnership, start giving, start serving, start participating and helping. That'll help out real quick. All right, we got like 3 more minutes. We're gonna close this out. Any more questions? We got about two more questions. And everybody was good technically, right? So that was cool. I'm happy about that. I don't want that to go on 2 or 3 classes.
And Coach, I know we came on kind of a few minutes late, but did everyone go through the sharing ideas, or did we just do a couple?
We was having a conversation about assessing the ideas, and we had some good participation. Catherine had a really good situation. She has 2, she was talking about her ideas, but she ended up getting 2 meetings this week coming up for her business. So we definitely celebrated that. And then Sean had actually decided to go ahead and write out a lot of the things that he was going to do. So that was great, because he said he hated writing, he hated doing that, but he went ahead on and started writing and really started getting to work. So that's great. And every week we're going to do that. Every class we're going to kind of figure out what you've done, because we want to monitor your growth. We don't want you to be at the same place that you were on Tuesday 5 Tuesdays from now. We want to see the growth. We want you to try. We want you to go ahead and ask questions. Again, get in contact with your people. But stay connected with everybody during the time. See what everybody's doing. See how you can go ahead and work. I'm going to ask those questions. Who have you connected with? Who had you pitched your business to? This is a national class. I took one with everybody I got to see every week. Somewhere, maybe at church, maybe at the store. Y'all taking one nationally. So you got people all over the country. So if you can't sell somebody in Columbia, sell somebody in California, sell somebody in Atlanta.
Jay,
Yeah.
I didn't say this at the beginning of the class, I should have, but one thing that I did do between Tuesday and now was I cornered someone who I want to be a business mentor to me. And they're offering something where I can actually go through the process of making sure I checklist all the things I need to make sure I'm running my social media agency correctly. So I spoke with her, and hopefully, we'll go into like a business mentor-mentee relationship. She's mentored and coached other people that are also social media managers, other social media managers, and help them make a certain amount of money a month. So, and also acquire higher ticket clients. So that's what I did.
Love it. Love it. That's amazing. Everybody.
Lord willing, I will join the number of her successful students and yours.
Congratulations, you guys. You made it through your first week. Hopefully you guys aren't tired of me yet. And, we're going to talk further as we get down to put this in your mind now. Thanksgiving week, of course, not Thanksgiving Thursday, but we want to see as the class go on if we actually want to come on that Tuesday or if we want to take that whole week off. So put that in your mind, way in advance. So the class might end up being just 9 weeks, and that's fine. We still have some work to do during that time, but make sure that you guys just put that in your mind for your hearing and for your consideration. But thank you guys so much for all the participation. And in comes my boss, Emerald.
Nope, you said it all, babe.
All right, thank you guys for staying on, and you know, y'all can reach out to us. Of course, y'all can follow me on social media if you haven't already. Most of you guys are, and if you need to reach out to me, go ahead and do so. I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Get prepared for market research.